Hello and welcome to Inspirational Focus. I'm Klein, a deacon in the Episcopal Church, and I'm very pleased to have as my guest today Ms. Amber Richards, who is the Executive Director of Field of Hope. And if you don't know what Field of Hope is, you're going to find out in the next 30 minutes. Amber, welcome.
Thank you.
So, what I was able to glean, and I'll read shamelessly here, Field of Hope is a southeastern Ohio-based nonprofit organization that supports socially disadvantaged families through programs in faith-based growth.
Yes.
Does that pretty much cover it?
That does cover it.
Okay. And it also addresses some major items in a three-part sort of way, a three-pronged sort of way. Mm-hmm. So if we could begin talking about the three ways that the organization provides assistance, that would be good.
Okay.
Okay. So first, let's talk about physical or helping to address physical degradation. What does the group do?
So we assist women in substance abuse addiction. So there's 4 different levels of care that we work with that on. First, we place them in a residential care where it's kind of more locked down. They're still able to leave if they want. And we do groups, and then we move them down to different levels of care. And in that, we help find out if they have children in CPS, the families, and we work with them as well and do family counseling, trying to reunite the families. So the physical part of it would be working on their substance abuse addiction, and we keep them there anywhere between 6 to 9 months, depending on their progress and how well they do, and that takes them through all the 4 different levels of care that we have.
All right. And do they present themselves to you, or are they sent by some legal mechanism, or both?
I would say anywhere at different times, between 10 to 20% come on their own, and the rest of the majority is usually sent by probation or the courts mandated to treatment.
So in addition to helping with overcoming the physical issues that addiction surely has, there are also mentality, I guess I would consider that, psychological issues to deal with, as well as spiritual ones. So tell me about the spiritual aspect of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Field of Hope is a faith-based rehabilitation center, and we're kind of unique in that. Okay, we're kind of unique in that because not a lot of places combine the faith base with state certified, and all of our clinicians are state certified. We are certified by OMOS in the state, but the faith-based piece aspect of it that we're able to bring sets us apart. And we do all evidence-based groups, but we have about right now 7 to 8 different churches that come in and do groups with our women, and they do Bible studies, they do crafts, they help teach them how to cook. And just love on our women, and we help them to get spiritual sponsors. So not just NAAA sponsors, but spiritual sponsors that can come alongside them and help them through the Bible and teachings and reading. And for us, that is the biggest piece, is getting the heart change.
Right. So it sounds like a term I've heard before is shepherds.
Yes.
So it sounds like you have people that operate as that for those who are there.
Yes.
So how big is Field of Hope?
Well, we have been growing.
Okay.
We've been growing a lot. So right now we can house up to 46 women. We have 16 in residential. We have 16 in a step down, which we just started, which is partial hospitalization. And that focuses on that mental piece that you talked about. So those that need more mental health assistance before they go down to a lower level of care, we place them there, and we're set up with another mental health service to give them more services and to provide that. And then we have 36 in sober living. So 56 altogether, and we're a 46-acre campus. So we are a very big campus. We have an old high school that we're renovating, and then we have the 2 16-bed houses behind that. Then we have 2 houses off campus. Yep.
And the place sounds enormous too.
Yes.
Are they allowed to walk the grounds, or must they do that in a supervised way?
We have a trail that kind of goes around our property, and we have a pond up on top of the hill. We have a peach orchard, so the girls are allowed to walk in pairs. We ask that they go in pairs in case something happens. And during the summer, the girls love to fish. They go up at the pond, and they fish during the summer. They can walk the trails. So it does give them a good time of meditation. They can go out there, and we have some groups out there too, and sometimes we'll just let them listen to music and reflect, and it's just a good peaceful time.
Okay. So in best case scenario, how long is the typical person there?
It ranges between 6 to 9 months. So, and it's based off their progress and how well they do as to how quickly they go through the different levels of care. We'd like to see them there that long. Per the state, we can't actually hold them there a certain amount of days, but we try for that because it gives them that longer time to get themselves together, because we would like them to be able to have a job, get housing prepared and work on getting their children back before they leave, so that they're set up, they're not just leaving and then trying to figure all that out. We would like to help them integrate and figure that out before they leave.
And do you have, I guess the formal term would be recidivism, do you have people that come back? Not voluntarily.
Yeah, it's very low. And the ones we have had come back were not court ordered. I would say we're in about a 90-some% success rate. We've only been open 2 years, but we haven't had that many get back in trouble and have to come back. So we've been very blessed in that's been pretty low for us.
That's terrific. I have, I guess I'd like to know a little bit about whose idea was it to even do this? And was the faith-based component that which inspired everything else that came? Or was it the obvious and critical need for a facility like that in this part of Ohio, southeastern? Which came first? Or did it kind of show up together? The ideas came together?
Well, we were very blessed. At Vinton Baptist, we had a preacher named Marvin Sally. And I know him and our pastor Heath now and my dad Kevin, they were all kind of looking across the street at this dilapidated school and was like, seeing the need for recovery and helping those in addiction in our community, and said, wouldn't that be cool if we could open that up? And the land got donated to us, and it's kind of just came to life since then, working on getting grants to restore it, to bring it back to life, and to be able to help those in addiction.
And is that what I see when I go to the website? Is that school building, that the one that is obviously in the background, the very first opening frame?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So how many people work there now?
We have 28 total employees right now. We're working on hiring a couple more right now, so we'll possibly be up to 30 by the end of this year. And that is, our ground maintenance crew that take care of the houses and take care of anything, electric, plumbing, that kind of stuff, maintenance around the grounds. We have a safety operations manager, my clinicians, counselors, supervisors, CEO, treasurer. So we've been growing. It's been nice to be able to give back to the community and hire people to help us grow.
Sure, I think it sounds terrific. You have 28 now, and you'd like to have 30.
Yes.
And you're renovating a building. Where's the money come from?
A lot of the money, we apply for capital grants to help with building because it all needed redone. So we apply for capital grants and we get those to help us build with our new construction. That's how we was able to help build our 2 new houses. And that's how we're working on building our gym for the prevention center right now, which we're hoping the floor will be getting laid here very soon. And that will be open. That's very exciting. So through grants, and then through, we get donations through a lot of the local churches and communities. And then also just the billing, the girls, how they pay to stay there is through the state, through Medicaid. So we're able to bill for those services, and that helps with revenue as well.
Very good, very good. And you also obviously have to feed everyone.
Yes.
Provide, I guess, laundry facilities and so forth, and the basic necessities of life that any of us would expect to have. Yeah. And so do they have individual rooms, or do they sleep in a group setting as well? Is it sort of like a bunkhouse?
There's no more than 2 people to a room.
Okay.
So at our residential, it holds 16. So there's 8 rooms, and they hold 16 women, or 2 women in each room. And we do provide the food. They have laundry rooms there. We provide all the bedding and everything. And once they move down into sober living, it's called independent living. So we're teaching them to get a job and get on their own. So they provide their own food, their own laundry soap. We provide all of the equipment to do
Sure,
that, the
sure.
house and the washers and dryers and all that, but they provide all of their own supplies.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. And I'm guessing with so many things, this really knows no age or racial boundaries or,
No.
for that matter, belief systems, faith belief system boundaries either. It's pretty much anyone can.
Yeah, and that's a very cool thing because just because
Yeah.
we're faith-based, people think, oh, I can't go there unless I'm a Christian. That's not how it is. We have had atheists, we have had a lot of different religions, and we're there to love and give them hope and restore them back to life, regardless of where they come from and what they believe. And we get people from Columbus, we get people from all over, and it doesn't matter how old. We've had from 18 to 65 years old.
Wow.
So age does not matter, race does not matter. I mean, your belief systems do not matter. It affects everybody.
I'd like to remind everybody that you are watching Inspirational Focus. I'm Klein, a deacon in the Episcopal Church, and my guest today is Amber Richards, who's the Executive Director of Field of Hope. It's a faith-based community, nonprofit organization that serves socially disadvantaged families here in Southeast Ohio. So I have a nice long list of things that I think you do there, and so how about we take them in turn?
Okay.
Okay. First is assessment. So let's say I'm one of the 18 or 20% that actually just shows up at the door one day.
Okay.
What happens to me when I walk in? Someone explain the whole thing to me, and so I'm assuming would make sure that I have a full understanding of how much time they're about to commit to. And then someone would start assessing me?
Yeah, we normally don't get that many walk-ins. I can say I think over the past 2 years we might have had 2 that just showed up and expected to have a bed. A lot of them call. So when you first call, we do an over-the-phone assessment. So we go through this list of your physical, your mental health, your addiction, the places that you've been, and we make sure that you're fit for our program because we are just alcohol and drug only. So if the mental health or physical sometimes is more than what my clinicians are able to do, we try to find them a different placement if we don't feel they're able to stay there. So once they get approved by phone, then we set them up for a day to come in. Once they come in, they meet with one of our clinicians and they start the assessment process, and that is filling out just a lot of background information, and that's every bit from physical to high school to everything they've been through.
Okay. Then obviously that assessment has to lead to case management. And so I'm assuming you're probably keeping records from day one.
Yes.
And how do you discern a treatment plan or a way to address their specific needs pretty much right at the very beginning, or is that something that evolves as circumstance changes?
Well, per the state, that happens right at the beginning.
Okay.
But how we come to that conclusion is, by their assessment, you're getting everything from their past life and their past history, from traumas that they've been through to their mental health issues to their addiction issues. So we can kind of get a layout of, the areas that they may need help with. And then after the initial assessment, within 7 days, they're hooked up with an individual counselor. And they go down and see that counselor. And when you see them, then you're going to go back kind of over that assessment and review. And let's see what are the biggest problems to you and what you feel you need help with. And then from there, we make your treatment plan.
Okay, so I think that's wonderful that you actually listen to them, and what they would like to accomplish is something that figures into the whole plan, the whole treatment
Yes.
plan. Wonderful. Crisis intervention.
Yes.
Okay, so people can, I'm not sure what the language is, relapse, and that must happen occasionally.
Yeah, and crisis ain't always relapse.
Okay, it could be.
Even when they're
It could-
having a bad day.
Family issues.
Yeah, or one of them's having a really bad day and
Yeah.
can't handle sitting in group, or
Good.
they're going through a life crisis, something's happened with their children or family at home, those are considered crisis moments. And we, go get their individual counselor and they sit down with them and we come up with a crisis plan. So what are we going to do when we feel this way? What are some coping skills that we can use during this time? So we create a plan with them of how to deal with that crisis when they're going through those things.
Okay. So as they progress, are they allowed to have visitors? Must be visiting times.
Yeah.
And certainly it's not just show up when you feel like it.
No.
No, but they have visiting times, and do they ever get to go back to the home situation they came from while they are under treatment?
Okay, so
Can they
how
do that? Can they do
well how that kind of goes is
Yeah, how's that work?
after they've been there for a week, then we allow them their first visit on the weekend, and those are from Sunday from 12:30 to 4:30, and they can pick 2 hours in between that time to meet with their family, their children, and they have to be on an approved list. So we have them fill out a phone list and an approved visitation list so that we're not letting unhealthy people that aren't good for them back into their life or around our other women. So we have them create an approved list. The counselor goes over that with them, making sure these are okay people to be able to come. Then they can come for those 2 hours to see them. And now once they go down to sober living from the residential, within the first 30 days, they get a 10-hour pass on the weekends so they can go home to an approved place. But they have to have a plan. So they have to work that out with their counselor. So where are you going? Is this a safe place? Do you have a phone number for where we can reach you there? And we kind of make a plan with them for when they go home.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay. So it sounds to me like you have both group counseling and individual counseling going on
Yep.
in pretty much the time they're there.
Yeah.
The,
They do different hours. So like at the residential, they do groups from 9 to 2 o'clock. And then once they go down to partial hospitalization, if they go there, they do 3 hours a group a day. And then once they go down to IOP, they do 2 hours a group a day. So there's different groups going on at all different times. And some are parenting groups, some are anger groups, some are, it depends on the need of the person.
okay. So I noticed that some of the things on the website also talked about things that relate to how Field of Hope presents itself in this part of the world where we are. So one of them is community outreach.
Yes.
Tell me about community outreach.
So-
How's that work?
Community outreach kind of goes along with case management as well. Our case managers, a lot of them have to work off community service. So we'll find places in the community that need help, either local churches, the dog shelter, anywhere that our girls could go and help. So they'll go out into the community. They went to Point Pleasant and did a river cleanup crew with them. So they reach out and do those kind of things. Our case managers hook them up with that. And we also go around to the different churches and places talking. And like I said, we have about 7 to 8 churches that come in now to minister to our girls. So we get the whole community involved.
That's terrific. That's terrific. Food pantry. So food pantry for them not only when they're there, but food pantry after they leave? Really?
Yep,
Okay.
and that's part of community service as well. So
Okay.
they'll go over and work at the food pantry, and they don't really get anything from the food pantry while they're at residential because we help them. But once they get down to sober living, if they need help, they can go to the local food pantry. And Vinton Baptist also has clothes, and that's one thing we're working on bringing across the street to the Field of Hope. It's in the process now. They serve around, I think it's 60 to 70 families a week, and it's outgrowing the church. So that's something we're going to move across the street to Field of Hope so that they can have bigger spaces to set all that up.
Okay. I'm going to read directly from the website again.
Okay.
So forgive me. Field of Hope desires to be a significant pillar in the community and assist families which have been ravaged by poverty, drugs, substance abuse, and so many other things. So it said that originally that you assisted with drug prevention and recovery. Now you have an operational counseling center, and so you refer to that as House of Hope?
That's our residential.
Okay.
And our residentials are for women, but we do have the outpatient counseling center for men and women.
Okay.
So they can do
Okay, that helps.
outpatient.
That helps.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So you say you moved across the street from the campus, from the high school, or the school building?
the houses.
Yeah, yeah.
They're kind of right behind it.
Oh, really? Okay.
So the school sets here, and our houses are up on the hill behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have two 16-bed houses back there. And then we're hoping to build another 3 like log cabins that hold 5 women each for sober living. That's in the future coming, hopefully.
Okay, great. And do you have building partners in the community as well, or people that provide you hardware and lumber kinds of things?
Well, we, because they're capital, we have to bid those out.
Okay.
So we bid them out to contractors, and they bid on those projects to do.
Including the renovation of the school?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Seemed that would be a reasonable thing.
Yes.
So, what excites you most about being there?
Well, being a former recovering addict myself, it's so hard when you're in places and they just, okay, you're done with your recovery, you can go home and figure this out. We want to be there every step of the way. So right now we have, I think, around 16 girls working full-time in our sober livings. So that is so cool to me that they are holding down jobs. They're getting their license back. They are, getting their children back. We've had some stay with us up to a year until they can get on their feet and get going. So for me, actually reintegrating them, helping them get back into society and be productive is so exciting, and it just gives me chill bumps because I wish I would have had that. So it's awesome to see their lives transformed.
Okay. Do they, and I'm sure that they, as they make progress, they also have suggestions for better ways to do things. And so the whole operation, the tenor of the whole operation improves pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
It sounds like. What's your biggest challenge right now?
Right now, it's probably the case management. We have 3 case managers, and we're looking for another one. But they are on the ground working hard every day. They're taking them to jobs. They're looking for jobs. They are, trying to take them to school, help them get set up with school. They are, on the ground with them right now. And finding jobs right now is kind of hard. Like I said, a lot of ours are working, but finding more jobs for them to be able to stay at is hard in this area, and especially because you're putting them back into an environment where there's probably some of that drugs and things going on with our fast food industries and stuff. So that's kind of the battle that we fight, is finding them a good job, but they're still surrounded by a lot of that. So,
okay, yeah. So, but again, shepherding them along.
Yes.
Shepherding them along. Biggest single success you've ever had?
Like for a client?
For a client.
I can say right now, since we opened up, I have a couple. So I have one that started out with us. She was one of our first girls, and she is doing excellent right now. She is working. She started working at a place kind of like ours, and she has been clean now for over 2 years, doing well out of the court system, getting her life back together. And we have another one right now that's actually working for us that was one of our first girls to come through. And anybody that knows her would tell you this girl's going to end up in prison or dead. She's not going to make it. And, so to see her where she's at today and being able to give back and come there, it's amazing. She's one that people said wasn't going to make it.
I think that's terrific. So if well-intentioned people wanted to volunteer their church, for example, I'm guessing that there's always room for a few more.
Oh, always room for volunteers. We love for the community to come and love on our women. And it also gives them an opportunity. It's not just our church at Vinton Baptist. Look, there's all these other churches and communities that you can go to when you get out, and it's a support system. When I got out, the church was my support system. So having people come volunteer and letting these girls know that they care about them builds that support system, gives them another place to be able to go to and reach out to. So they just have to come down to our office, or they can call 740-245-3051, which is the number to Field of Hope, and they can fill out a form to become a volunteer, and yeah.
And away you go.
Yep.
Okay. We have a few minutes left here, what would you like the general public to know or remember about Field of Hope? Because I see you have some material with you.
Yes. Our vision at Field of Hope is to see people set free from drug and alcohol addiction, and to be able to go back in the community and be able to be productive and feel good about themselves. We love watching people come in and finding that sliver of hope through God again and transforming. And being able to get back out there. So my biggest message is, you're not hopeless. This isn't, life can be better. You can find a new kind of normal, we call it. And there's so many talented people out there just stuck in addiction and families not knowing what to do. I went to a meeting last night for families of people in addiction, and they don't know what to do, and they're lost, and they feel shame. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel that hopelessness. God is with you. He will be with you wherever you go, and we want to be there to help those people find that hope again and get out of the hole.
Okay. Two sort of more general questions.
Okay.
Can any of the women attend school if they wish?
Yes.
Okay.
We have probably, I think right now, 4 women attending college. We have some getting GED classes. We've had girls that came to us at 18 and still need to get their diploma, so we'll set them up with at-home schooling to help them with that. We'll help them get a job. We work with CPS to get your children back. We do family counseling to work with you and your family. Our prevention center for children will be open soon. We're going to have that gym. We're going to be doing adolescent counseling and group counseling. We go into the schools with our prevention team and talk to the children. So
it's quite a bit.
Yep.
How about other adult family members? Do they become a part of the conversation too?
yes, we bring them in family counseling. That's what it is. If you're the
That's
addict,
you're bringing that.
yes, let's talk to
right?
you and the mom and dad or your sister or your husband, and we do that all together and kind of be a mediator and work those things out with them.
And I think my last question, well, probably my last question. What is the role of prayer in all of this?
We start every day with it.
Yeah.
Prayer is very important.
Yes.
I believe prayer kept me alive, and prayer is very powerful. We pray at our staff meetings. I have a great team of employees that work together. We can pray together. We pray with our clients. They're not forced to, but I've never had one say they didn't want to do it. So, we can pray with them. I have heard some of the most powerful prayers come from some of our clients. And they know that they're loved here. That's what we want. We want them to see God's love and to feel that. So it's very important.
So assessment, case management, crisis intervention, group counseling, individual counseling, community outreach, drug prevention and recovery, and even food pantry assistance. Sounds like a real recipe for a field of hope.
Yes.
And it clearly works, and it is expanding. Expanding, and who knows how far this will wind up going.
That's right.
Okay. Amber Richards, the Executive Director of Field of Hope.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for having me.